till you come out blue. She's got Bette Davis eyes. She'll expose you when she knows you. Off your feet with a crumb, she throws you. She's ferocious and she knows just what it takes to make her problems. All the boys think she's a spy. She's got Bette Davis eyes. And she teases you, she unneeds you, all the better just to please you. She's precautious, and she knows just what it takes to make her problems. All the boys think she's a spy, she's got Bette Davis eyes. She'll tease you, she'll unneeds you, just to please you. She's got Bette Davis eyes. Dark in the city, night is the wire. Standing beside the way, air is a fire. Woman, you want me, give me a sign. I got my reason, it will close behind. In touch with the ground, I'm not there after you. Smell like the sun, lost in a crowd. I do. Stuck in the forest, too close to hide. I'll be upon you by the moonlight side. Do 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 do. retailers in the region? I wanna be like all the time.
Because I know that some of you are sitting for more than half an hour already.
So I'm picking it up.
Second is, I don't know how you feel, but I feel great. And when I feel great, I always want to celebrate, and I always want to shout, for example, yes. And what I would like now is that you give yourself one big applause because you are physically here. Bravo! It's nice to start an event with a standing ovation. And the second reason, please, if you can shout, if you feel okay or if you feel great, just please shout yes.
Yes!
Yes! Yes!
Yes!
Thank you. Enjoy the evening. Welcome goes also to all the people who are watching us online. I think that we are all aware what does Web Retailer Award means for e-commerce in the region. So no need to repeat everything, but I would just like to remind all of us that the Web Retailer Award is organized for 10 years in Slovenia, 7 years already in Croatia, and for the last 2 years also in Serbia. It's organized by Ceneje, Jeftino, and Idealno. And I have a question for you. What do you think? How many web retailers are participating this year in the competition?
412.
You're right. 412. And among these 412, we selected 82 best web retailers. And that's you. So please congratulate to yourself. And yeah, thank you. My name is Primož Hvala, and if you are going to be late tonight, back home, you can blame me. Otherwise, today we have two special guests with us, Tomaž Braverman, CEO of Heureka Group, and Leon Brančić, Director of Customer Relations at EPROM. And we will also have a key speaker, David Piuk from Nike. And the ceremony will finish around 8. No, don't worry, it will not finish around 8, much later. We are here hosted by Ceneje, Jeftino, and Idealno. And the CEO, David Česlovnik, would like to welcome you all. David, please.
Yeah, I obviously don't speak loud enough. So Primož decided to speak without a microphone. I would like to welcome you all, this time in English, because it's like 3 nations and the whole management is sitting there observing if we are doing a good job or not. We already know that we are. I would like to thank all of the participants, all the finalists, all the shops, the retailers who gave all the surveys. And that's like, I don't know how many thousand surveys that somebody needed to check and analyze, and that was the Valicon. Then there's the EPROM giving us the media coverage. Then there's all the committee members, 84 this year. They were checking thoroughly all the web stores, if they are, how they look, how the checkout process works. And of course, I would like to thank my coworkers for just giving this extra push. And the latest weeks were, you know, they were full of stress, were really nerve-wracking because of the we have this virus which is like killing us. But here we are, like 5 minutes before midnight, and having this event live. So just thank you all for being here, and let's see who the finalists and who the winners are. So pretty much.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you very much.
So let's see who are the best among the best. So let's see who are the winners. Today we have 14 categories. So let's start with the first 5 categories. The first category, clothing and footwear. The finalists from Slovenia are Papina, Velbi, Ursanina. The finalists from Croatia are Wolf, Brands and Trends, Astratex. And the finalists from Serbia, Persa Fashion, Socks, and Mona Online. And let's see who are the winners. I'm going to invite all 3 winners to join us here to get their trophies. The awards are going to be presented by the employees of Cenea. And let's see who are the winners in the clothing and footwear category. The winners are Papina, Wolf, Persa Fashion.
No?
Okay, and the third time applause. Okay, we started. Let's see the second category, fashion accessories. The finalists are A Forum for Slovenia, Irismo and Nakit M. Finalists for Croatia, Argentum, Voce Porter, Nicole Marie. And who are the winners? The winners are A Forum for Slovenia, Argentum, Croatia. Short applause, please. The third category, sport. We finalists are for Slovenia 11, Jim Beam, Right Shop. Finalists for Croatia, Decathlon, Jim Beam, Sports Vision. And who are the winners? In Slovenia, Jim Beam. In Croatia, Jim Beam. Fourth category, web shopping malls. Finalists for Slovenia, Alianza, Big Bang, Shop, EC. And finalists for Croatia, MOL, senzacionalno, Zuti Klik. And the winners are Big Bang and MOL.
Okay.
No one present here?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Then let's move to the fifth category, specialized stores and services. Finalists for Slovenia, Hitri nakup, Pošli paket, Šivalni stroj. Finalists for Croatia, Biro print, Glasbena kutija, Topalati. And finalists for Serbia, MZ, Gimbim, Mamino. Who are the winners? In Slovenia, Hitri nakupi, Croatia, Glasbena kutija, in Serbia, Mamino. Can I ask you for one more applause for the winners? I must admit that I was a little bit afraid at the beginning how we will manage 14 categories, because normally it takes too long. But I think that we are doing quite well. What do you think? Yeah?
Let's do this quickly and then some music and some drinks. Because people are asking, where's the music? Where are the drinks? So drinks you have
Okay.
here, okay?
So if you would like that we continue with the same pace, you just have to give a big applause after each winner. Okay, but we still need sometimes to stop a little bit and to think, because we also can learn something out of events and ceremonies like this. And today we will have a few guests who can share with us their knowledge, and they are willing to. The first among all guests is going to be Tomasz Braverman, the CEO of Heureka Group.
Hi everybody, some clicker. Well, first of all, thanks indeed for showing up in these difficult times. I'm so glad to still see you live, see you in person. I was asked to tell you something interesting, that I decided to share a little bit more about a trend which is coming to our region, to Adriatics, but as well to the Czech Republic, where I am originally from. I was given only 10 minutes. I'll try to be sharp, but obviously, if you are interested in any of that, what I'll skip and what I'll say very quickly, I'll be here and we can discuss that all afterwards while drinking wine or beer or whatever. So, marketplaces is a big trend. Let me start with a quote of one of our partners, which is Amazon started this, and it's a future. And it really is. We can check out some high-level numbers of this trend, of the marketplaces trend. And now it's unbelievable that it's more than 62% of the global GMV, of e-commerce sales, which is done exactly through the marketplaces. How much is it? It's unbelievable and unprecedented, $2.7 trillion US dollars. On the right side, you can see some of the biggest marketplaces globally. Let's say that there is about 150 globally, which are kind of big. among the top 20, there is obviously Amazon on the first spot, and there is a Japanese one, eBay, which all of us know, and many, many others. But let me say that among the top 20, there is some who are owned by one company, which is a Chinese one, which is Alibaba. It's not only AliExpress, what you surely know from your region, but it's also Taobao, it's also Tmall, which is a kind of an AliExpress for the Chinese market. It's also Lazada, which is a company which was actually acquired by Alibaba. So if you sum together all these websites, actually Alibaba Group becomes the second in the ranking. But for sure, it's undisputable that the biggest marketplace is Amazon. It's a hegemon. Of course, coming from the United States, but on the map you can see that they are actually fully present in about 20 countries, except for the United States and Canada, obviously. It's Brazil. In Europe, it's France, United Kingdom, it's Spain, it's Italy, then it's Saudi Arabia, it's India, it's Australia, it's Japan, and partly in China, where they actually expanded to some 15 years ago, but then they surrendered because of the local, very protectionistic market. You know, check out the figures. Check out the figures yourself. It's an unbelievable GMV, which is generated merchandise volume of about $500 billion US. But what is important, that 2/3 of this GMV is actually done through their marketplace and not through their own retail. The number of users, 500 million, or the number of the Prime users, which is their loyalty program, as you surely know, is unbelievable, 200 million. By the way, about 150 million is in the States and 50 million is in the other countries. 1.3 million employees, 10 million sellers on Amazon. This is really spectacular and unbelievable. And let's say aloud that this is a true hegemon, a true global hegemon. And yes, it's fully local in 20 countries, but as you know, it's reachable from everywhere. And through the cross-border, actually Amazon provides its goods and its services in almost every country. Let's check out one of the hegemons, which is from the other side of the globe, which is China, and that's AliExpress, which is much smaller than Amazon in terms of the GMV, which is about 13 billion US dollars, number of users, which is about 60 million, but still, it's still big numbers, right? But if we sum up all the GMV of all the players owned by Alibaba, which is the mother company of AliExpress, like I said, it's Tmall, it's Alibaba.com, which is a B2B marketplace, it's Taobao, which is something like eBay, but in China, it's Lazada, etc. If we sum it all up, it's actually double the size of Amazon. It's $1 trillion US GMV. So really unbelievable figures. But both AliExpress and Amazon have something in common, and that is that they are true cross-border. They're really ready to provide their services almost everywhere. And let's check out actually how the cross-border trend, how it looks in Europe. Here you can see the European countries, and as you can see, the share of cross-border, no matter if it's from Europe or within Europe, or if it's truly international, the share varies very much. It goes from some 5% to some, I don't know, even 90%. If you are looking for some rules or correlations, I must say that one correlation obviously is that the smaller country is, the bigger cross-border there is, and the more matured the local players are, the smaller cross-border there is, obviously. You can check, for example, Poland and Romania. Poland, there's a truly strong local player, Allegro, and so the level of cross-border is much lower. And the same applies to Romania, where it's a truly strong local player, EMAG, and so as you can see, the level of cross-border is there very low as well. On the other hand, in the middle, like Lithuania, Luxembourg, etc., the small countries, as you can see, have a much higher share of cross-border, which is logical, like I said. If we take a look at our countries, which is Slovenia and Croatia, you can see that the level here, is pretty high, which has to do, obviously, with the fact that, most importantly, Croatia and Serbia are not that developed, and the local like players there's not so many local players. So the level of cross-border is pretty higher. Let's check out the reasons why actually people use the cross-border. In other words, why they are buying the goods from abroad. And I think it's pretty logical. You can see that it's the prices and it's the assortment as the main reasons for buying from different companies or from different countries. When we check our countries in our region, which is the CEE region, you can see again that kind of the local like marketplaces are developed, like in Romania, EMA. There, the cross-border there is lower. On the other hand, in here, there is still not a strong marketplace yet, and so it's on the other side of the scale, having the cross-border much higher. And you should know it because I'm sure that many of you sometimes make a purchase on AliExpress or on Amazon, for example. We also asked our partners what they want us to help them with, and actually the cross-border sales was on the first spot. To my surprise, for example, fulfillment was not really interesting for our partners, and it ended up like the last point on the last spot. And so cross-border sales is a big topic for us, for Hemreka Group, and I'll still be talking about that. Let's check out what are actually the enablers of the cross-border. I can see there kind of three main enablers. First of all is the new ruling, the European Union ruling, which came into force on July 1st, which actually lowered the limit for local reporting of VAT. In other words, if you are Slovenian and you export, before you didn't have to report what you export if it was in total turnover, yearly turnover of about 40,000 or 100,000, depending on the country. And this was lowered to 10,000 euros. In other words, whenever you export your goods to a different country, now you have to report or you have to pay the VAT of the countries where you are exporting the goods. But what changed is so-called one-stop shop, which is actually a procedure which simplifies it very much, which makes it much easier. What it is that actually you can report the VATs of the countries where you export your goods in your home country. And you do it with your local tax authority, and it should be super easy, and the tax authority actually take care of everything else and take care of actually paying the VAT in all the countries where you are exporting your goods. So this is something what really makes the cross-border much easier, and I'm really happy about that. Second enabler, what makes the cross-border easier, is actually the technical implementers to marketplaces. Sometimes it's pretty hard to make the, to get the implementation to the big marketplaces like Amazon, but there is players on the market which can help you with that. It's, for example, a company called Expando or a company called IMN. So I truly recommend, if you are interested in actually selling on a marketplace, I truly recommend that you get help of an implementer like that. And a third big enabler of actually the cross-border is that nowadays the borders or the costs of doing the cross-border, I mean the logistics, the costs get lower and lower. And as you can see on the table, actually now the cross-border logistics from some partners, this is a Paketa group, that the costs of logistics within a country and cross-border logistics, the costs are not truly different, and it's getting more and more affordable. This is the key marketplaces in the CEE region, what the users use the most. And as you can see, obviously, there is the hegemons, what we already were discussing, which is Amazon and AliExpress and obviously eBay. But then there is some, say, CEE marketplaces like Mall Group, Allegro, like Alza, and obviously us, Heureka Group. Pretty recently, something happened, and that is that Allegro, the Polish hegemon, bought Mall Group, and so a really big and strong player is becoming. And let's see let's see what they do. But for sure, they're gonna integrate both Mall and Allegro, and they're gonna get really strong. That's for sure. Of course, there's also some key marketplaces in our region, in Slovenia, Croatia, and Serbia, etc. Except for the global marketplaces, which I already mentioned, like Amazon, eBay, or AliExpress. It's also Mall and Mimovrste, which is owned by Mall, and so now owned by Allegro. And both Mimovrste and Mall are working hard on creating a really strong marketplace. Mimovrste has already created one. Mall has it in progress. And Shopster, obviously, a marketplace which comes from Serbia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it comes from Serbia. It used to be a retailer. Which actually bought a Slovenian retailer, and now they're also working hard on creating a local marketplace. And it's also Bazaar, which in the past used to be a C2C classified business. Then they switched themselves to a retailer. It comes from Croatia, as far as I know, and now they're switching themselves from a retailer to a marketplace. So I would say that these are the strongest local marketplaces. Let's check out what are the differences in services provided by the CEE marketplaces. Here you can see Alza, Mall, and eMAG. As you can see, it doesn't differ very much. The only difference is at this moment in the fulfillment, which is actually provided only by eMAG, that's the Romanian marketplace, and in cross-border, which is now enabled by Mall Group, meaning Allegro plus Mall, and eMAG, but Alza still does not provide it, but of course we can expect that in the future. What is perhaps more interesting if you decide to approach a marketplace, one of them, it's interesting to see actually how much you will pay, which is in the second row, and it's pretty obvious that the commission fee, what you're gonna pay to the marketplaces, is around, say, from 10 to 25%, which is pretty much. Let's agree on that. We on Heureka Group have much more affordable commission fees. Obviously, no, but seriously, I think if you have in the strategy to approach marketplaces, I think it really makes sense to get connected to all of them if possible. This is the comparison of the features of the local marketplaces, which I already mentioned, which is Mall, Mimovrste, part of Mall Group, part of Allegro these days, which is Bazaar, which is Shopster. And again, you can see that the features provided by them is pretty much the same. They offer everything. They offer cross-border, and they're not offering fulfillment, right? And I'm approaching the end of my presentation. This is us. This is Heureka Group. We are actually the strongest. We are actually the strongest online player in our region. We are in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, and Bosnia. Altogether, we have over 23 million users, which is great. On our sites together, there is more than 45,000 merchants. We are pretty well known here in Cene, or here in Slovenia with Cene, in Croatia with Jeftine, in the Czech Republic with Heureka, Slovakia, Heureka, etc., etc., etc. We are proud of that. But I'm talking about marketplaces during this speech. So yes, we also are going to become, and we are working hard on becoming a cross-border marketplace. Our vision is to become the strongest cross-border marketplace in the CEE region. We're working hard on that. I would say we're still at the beginning. At this moment, we have about 1,750 merchants in the marketplace program. what we differentiate in is that we are the only marketplace which helps you sell, but still keeps your brand stronger or makes your brand stronger. Because in our marketplace, we do not hide your brands. It's other way around. We make it stronger. This is something what I think differentiates us from our competitors. And yeah, in Slovenia and Croatia and Serbia and Bosnia, we're working hard actually to enable the marketplace as well. We're going to introduce the MVP of marketplace soon. But the ultimate goal, like I said, is actually to enable the cross-border marketplace, to enable you guys, Slovenian and Croatian companies and retailers, to expand, to sell within the whole Heureka group, so that you can reach all 23 million users. And our goal, our aim is that we help you with that. You don't have to take care of anything. You don't have to take care of the logistics and stuff like that. We're here to help you, and it's coming soon. Thank you for your attention, guys. How many was that? Was it 10 minutes? 10-ish minutes.
Thank you, Tomasz.
Thank you.
Short question for all of you. Do you wish all the best to Heureka with these plans in the future? Yeah?
Yeah.
So, all the best. Please warm up your hands, because now is the second round of our awards. Category Automotive. The finalists are Autocommerce, Gume na dom, M Styling. And the winner is Gume na dom. Bravo. Next category, Consumer Tech. The finalists are Printing, Outlet Shop, Iga Biba for Slovenia, and for Croatia, Smart Lab, Printing, and Mobis. And the winners are Iga Biba and Mobis. Third category, Home and Garden. Finalists in Slovenia, Gea, Paketko, Pigo. In Croatia, Biela Tehnika, Harta, Klima Koncept. And the winners are Paketko and Klima Koncept. Category Furniture. The finalists are Pohištvo, Svet pohištva, To pohištvo. And finalists in Croatia, Namještaj, Namještaj Mirna, Zebra. And the winners are Pohištvo and Namještaj. And the last category in the second round, kids. Finalists for Slovenia, Heidi, mali zakladi, otroška oblačila. Finalists for Croatia, Heidi, mali zakladi, Anika baby. And the winners, mali zakladi pika si,
We need to receive awards.
Congratulations to all the winners and also to all the finalists. Our second guest today is going to be Leon Vrenčić from EPROM. EPROM is a knowledge partner of the Shoppers Mind Research. EPROM is a edtech company and digital agency working in the region. So I think that Leon is the best person to speak about digital marketing. Leon, you need a microphone? Okay. How do you feel?
Can't hear you.
Thank you. We live in these uncertain times. I'm glad I can say that I'm healthy, okay, and as a business part, this COVID made a great impact, so yeah, it's great.
Nice. So you, I see you as an expert in digital ecosystem. I see EPROM as an expert in really how to understand the data about the customer and how to improve the efficiency, how we communicate with our customers. So you're focused on technology, on data. And what I would like to ask you is why you joined Shoppers Mind Research?
Yes, CPROM is a digital agency with more than 20 years of experience in digital advertising. We work in Adriatic region. There's 50 employees. We are building our own technology, our own data-focused programmatic platform and other edtech solutions. Together with Valicon, we cooperate in the field of market research where we get fresh data from the market from customer journey, media production, insights, trends, and of course, that gives us the opportunity to understand the market, to understand customers. With Shoppers Mind, it's a partnership with Anaya and Valicon, so we get more insights for online shopping and understanding commerce. So Shoppers Mind somehow sums it up.
Okay. Today we are celebrating the best web retailers in the region. But we would also like to look also to the future. How do you see the trends in e-commerce in the region?
The fact is that we right now described COVID that made a great impact on customer journey and put more on online. So users are all connected and they use online to shop because they are forced to. So because of the reach of digital media, the investments in digital advertising are increasing also, and e-commerce is on the rise. So there's a lot of investment in display, mobile devices, social media, and also digital platforms. So you can see that I think that the e-commerce or e-shops should maximize their investments in digital advertising so they can maximize their return on ad spend. And of course, we talk about data all the time. The shops should collect the data from the customers and implement data management to get better targeting and to get better reach and better results. And of course, I would suggest that also simplify this integration available to get automated ads with those tools.
And how you as Eastman can help web retailers,
As I said,
especially if they have limited budget.
of course, as I said, we are on the market for more than 20 years. We have our own technology. We can help them with ad creating, with media buy, with strategies, with whatever they need, with TMPs, with data. I know that they don't have their own technology, but we are here and we are available and we work in Adriatic region.
Okay, any questions for Leon? I know that I surprised you. Okay, if there is no question, I have a last question. So, if I go back, I am a small web retailer. I'm doing fine. My budgets are limited. I would like to increase because big there. What should I think about when they want my phone?
Of course, you should focus on your targeting on people that visit your shop, on the land, collect data, and you should advertise smart. We all know that we have these personal devices in our pockets, mobile phones. Usage of mobile phones increased for 20% or more, and this is our first device. So, first thing you should do on mobile and on social media, and you should monitor how much you spend and what kind of results you get.
And you, at Evelyn, you can help me.
So, just give me a call.
Okay, enough of commercial. Thank you, Leon. This was a short chat, and now we move to the third part, the third round of our winners. Let's see. Food and beverage category. The finalists are Spar, Začimbe, Shop Bimet. And the winner is, what do you think?
Online.
You are right, Spar. Second category, health and beauty. Finalists for Slovenia, Eko Verde, Moje Leče, and Spletična. Finalists for Croatia, Lijepa, Fabus Pot, Ljekarna Pablo. And the winners are Spletična and Lijepa. They are not present here, they are with us only online, so congratulations to all the winners. Let's move to the third category, healthy diet and nutritional supplements. Finalists for Slovenia. Malinca, popolna postava, Vitalavo. And finalists for Croatia, Malinca, Marijan Voce, Vitalavo. What do you think? Who are the winners? Malinca, where? Slovenia, Croatia? Both. Winners in Slovenia, Vitalavo. Winners in Croatia, Malinca. I think they deserve a triple applause. The fourth category, pets. Finalists for Slovenia, Mr. Pet, Zohit, Konos Adventure. Finalists for Croatia, Lovinspo, Pet Home Shop, Zooplus. And the winners are Mr. Pet for Slovenia and Pet Home Shop for Croatia. Okay, they are not present here, and we finish with the third round of our winners. And now let's take 20 minutes and think about what's going on around us. We invited David Piuk from Nike to share with us his or their thoughts about what's going on in marketing. David Piuk works for Nike for, I think, 8 years in the European headquarters in Amsterdam. He's responsible for direct-to-consumer activities of Nike in EMEA region. And we will have a rare opportunity to hear face-to-face, talk with him, how he sees what's going on in marketing and how marketing is transforming. I think that he will share with us some thoughts that we can use as a brand manager, but also as a retailer, web retailer. So please give a really nice and big welcome to David Piuk, who came directly from Amsterdam, I think.
Hey everyone, so thanks for the introduction, Primož, and also thanks for having me and flying me literally directly from Amsterdam. I literally came off the plane into the car and here, so it's really an honor and a privilege to be here. Just a little bit about my role. Oh, yeah. Clearly the voice went. A little bit about my role, as Primož said. So I oversee direct-to-consumer marketing and digital for Nike Direct. So whilst Nike is a brand, the Nike Direct part of the business is operating like a retailer. I'm going to share a little bit of thoughts and observations about marketing and its evolution that I think Leon already kind of alluded to earlier. The last two years have been very, very dynamic, right? And we've seen probably more change in the last 2 years than we have in the last 10, to be honest. And we've seen, this is kind of a fact, a massive consumer shift to digital. So digital kind of transformation became acceleration. And then digital commerce is not an digital activities or digital engagement became the norm and not anymore like a niche. So we've seen massive, rapid acceleration of digital across the board. And this got like three key themes that we're observing in the global marketplace, right? We've seen a consolidation of web traffic. And we see that this is a really interesting stat that 43% of global traffic is driven by 10 websites. So you see a massive power shift and consolidation in terms of the players on the marketplace. We see also engagement, so consumer engagement, whether that's purchasing, liking, sharing, doing, viewing, also consolidating. And we've seen, which is even a more crazy stat to me when I saw it for the first time, that 90% of all engagement on our mobile phones is going to 6 apps. Think about that, 6 apps, 90% of global engagement. And we've also seen engagement of e-commerce. And we've seen the presentation earlier talking about marketplaces in the Adriatic region. That's happening globally, where roughly 97% of global e-commerce comes from 10 retailers. Retailers are in China and the US, obviously big player, but it's a really kind of scary stats in the consolidation that happened in the last 2 years. But we've also seen, like, whilst these changes have been predominantly driven by COVID, COVID wasn't really the only thing that drove change. There's also a big change that comes from culture and is pressing brands and retailers to evolve, right? And just 3 themes that we've seen in the last 2 years is really the topic of consumers demanding inclusivity, meaning that brands really need to start serving all consumer types, and that can go through, in our case, athletes that are, regular athletes, athletes with disabilities, and also all sorts of special needs. So consumers really demand to be inclusive. We've seen a big rise up and a big topic around equality. And again, this doesn't just go how companies engage with their consumers, but also how do you look and appear in terms of your brand image and what you do for equality in the culture. And then lastly, sustainability. I think this is an important topic, and it's not about greenwashing, but it's also, you all work in the space of e-commerce. It's also, it goes, how sustainable is your supply chain, how sustainable is your packaging, and then what are the brands that you're selling on your platform? Do they stand for sustainability? Consumers care about this more and more, and will continue to do so, especially Gen Zs and Gen Alpha, so the younger generations. And we've seen, obviously, consumers adapted to the marketplace, consumers adapted to being locked at home and shopping online. Businesses not so much. We've seen businesses struggling for the first 6 to 9 months of COVID, and those that weren't really prepared for the digital transformation really struggles and are playing a catch-up game right now. But what's a common, common effect that I've seen in the marketplace is to be consumer-centric, right? To really react to the consumers. So I'm going to talk about 2 business models and an evolution of it that really speak probably a little bit less to the standard e-commerce environment, but more to the traditional business model and how they're adapted to this new marketplace, right? And we've seen, like, for example, an example of Nike. Nike traditionally is a wholesale business, right? We had a brand that was very strong, that did great commercials, and then we had a series of wholesale partners, whether they're digital partners like Zalando or ASOS, or brick-and-mortar partners like JD Sports and Foot Locker and Intersport. And these wholesale partners actually sold our product to the consumer. So if you worked in marketing for Nike, your job was really easy, right? You needed to make the brand really, really cool. So you could do all these ads and showcase the great athletes. Whilst the business needs evolved, right, and we wanted to be more consumer-centric, we were kind of preparing for the digital transformation for the last 10 years. But it really accelerated us in the last 24 months is a move to what we call the DTC model, a direct-to-consumer model, which is, I think, pretty much the model you guys are all running here in the room, where the brand is also the wholesaler, or actually the brand doesn't sell the product directly to the consumers, right? And the role of brand then changes dramatically, because whilst the role of the brand and the marketing teams in the wholesale model was just to keep the brand hot, then the wholesalers did all the hard work in terms of selling the product, developing their distribution, and so on and so forth. Now, in the direct-to-consumer model, we need to do both. We need to make the brand hot and the brand relevant and ensure that we have a brand awareness. At the same time, we also need to sell product. So in the world of e-commerce, we need to merge brand marketing and performance marketing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those implications, at least from the lens of a retailer or a brand like Nike that we went through. Right? So as I said before, right? Before, wholesalers actually share the brand promise with us. So while they need to ensure the distribution and the sale of our product, they're also, if you had a bad experiences by buying our shoes in Intersport, you blame the brand. You didn't necessarily blame Intersport directly. Right? So this responsibility for the consumer experience and the brand values and the brand promise was shared between the company, so the brand, and the wholesaler. Whereas in the in the direct-to-consumer model, brand really evolves, and brand becomes a platform for both engagement and commerce. In our case, right? Commerce pays off our brand efforts commercially, but we all know that consumers don't buy the product every day because they don't might need it. I mean, at least not in our industry. So what is that interplay between engagement and commerce that keeps consumers engaged on our brand and our platforms? I mentioned this before, right? In the wholesale model, the role of brand marketing or marketing communication or advertising, as you know it, was really just to drive awareness and performance marketing. That was the department that was probably somewhere, at least at Nike, somewhere in the corner. They did Google search and all the performance marketing ads, but they actually drove a lot of business. Now, in this direct-to-consumer model, marketing needs to become integrated and appear as one. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. The other thing we've seen that the set budgets were, in the old model, we used set budgets to drive business objective. One side of the business had budgets to drive performance. In the other side of the business, it was, your quarterly or annual budgets to drive brand awareness. Now, in this new world, in order to respond to the new consumer reality, I'll talk a little bit later about how do we approach dynamic funding in marketing, which is basically an interplay between performance and brand building budgets. And then lastly, kind of huge topic if you're in Europe, not so much if you're in the US, but audiences, data and permission and GDPR, right? We've all done marketing on our advertising platforms such as Facebook and so on. So we relied a lot on third-party audiences. And now reading the direct-to-consumer model, we own the data, so we really need to ensure that our platforms are built and reliant on first-party audience tracking. So first one, brand as a platform. As I said, right, consumer experience now becomes a competitive advantage because if you want consumers to transact on your platform or our own e-commerce platform, we need to build the best-in-class consumer experience. It can't happen that you go on Zalando and you have a better consumer experience when buying Nike than on our own ecosystem. Lastly, it's not only about converting, as I said, right? On one hand, we have digital marketing, which is all about driving subscriptions or driving purchase. On the other hand, we have the brand marketing, ensuring that consumers, in our case, do sport, talk about sport, or share about their adventures in sport. So with us, it's really achieving that interplay of activity on digital that on one hand touch on sport because we want to make people active, and on the other hand convert and pay off commercially because we're also a business like any other. Lastly, like in our case, right, we've seen this, you all know the funnel. In a big company like Nike, the funnel is an interesting thing because on the right-hand side, we have various marketing departments obsessing different part of the funnel, right? We have marketing communications at the top, just doing brand awareness, and we have CRM at the very bottom, just doing repurchasing. In a direct-to-consumer model, we need to evolve, and we need to really obsess the full funnel. So we need to start with what is our objective and what is the KPIs we want to achieve with every body of work, every campaign. Then define what is the right target audience that's going to get us these objectives, and then define what are the platforms and the platform strategy that is going to achieve. Is it owned channels only? Is it paid platforms? And what are the partners that we're going to collaborate in order to do that? And only then we go and develop what is the creative that's going to be distributed across the full funnel, right? And I just did a recent example of like a Nike yoga campaign we did around our Olympics work, actually. And you could ask yourself, what does yoga have to do with Olympic Games? Well, not a lot, but Nike always has a point of view during the Olympic Games, right? So we ensure that our inspiration featured yoga products, and featured yoga poses. Then on the engagement social part of the campaign, we ensured that yoga was integrated as well as running and other sports that were part of the Olympics. And then at the moment of conversion, we ensured that all the photography, all the models, and all the platforms mirrored the product that was featured all the way through the funnel, as well as using then our retention journeys to ensure that we engage with our yoga audiences with the right workouts and the right programs and the right content we have in order to do re-engagement and repurchasing. Lastly, and maybe that's probably an interesting one for you because you're in the e-commerce business, is just branded performance budgets. As you see on the left, blue line is 2020 and red lines are 2021. And you see the decrease or increase of investments in budget in first performance marketing and brand building. As you can see, performance marketing, not a surprise, went up significantly because the demand shifted online, and brand building was the one that suffered the most. So it had the decrease. And that's normal, right? Because we know that brand building creates future demand and performance marketing converts the demand today. So as consumers shifted to digital, investment in performance marketing went up. But what really happened here is, if you stop brand building, red line is the brand building budget and the curve is sales, right? This is based on historic data that we did on a few campaign researches, right? You see that the sales start to flat out at some point. That's one scenario. And the other scenario, which we see actually a lot in the business in the last 12 months, because after the immense investments in performance marketing in the first 12 months of COVID, now the second year is a little bit different. So people started even decreasing brand budgets and saw, oh well, but the demand, so our sales didn't really decrease immediately, because there is usually a lag between the decrease in brand building and today's conversion, right? Because you still have an overly active marketplace for digital demand and digital transactions. So you've seen that correlation only happening later. And what you now see, and what we're also seeing with us, that the decrease in brand building actually didn't really pay off. So we need to rethink the way how we budget, right? And we need to, as I said, not looking at those two budgets separately, but looking at those two budgets as one bag of money that needs to be planned dynamically based on the signals in the marketplace. So based on the signals that the consumers give us, right? So you can have two scenarios now after a period of divestment in brand building, right? You have a period of flat sales, and eventually you turn on brand building again because the demand, the digital organic demand went down, and you need to create it. And then sales will follow. It doesn't happen in a week, it doesn't happen in a month. It's probably more of a 6 to 12 months thing, but it will follow. Or even better, and to be honest, nobody's doing this perfectly right now, and this is just kind of some of the learnings we went through, is ensuring that the dynamic budgeting that will fuel and fund and ensure long-term sustainable growth, right? Meaning that if you see an overflow in the performance marketing budgets, in the digital demand, you can overdo it, you can double down on your performance marketing demand, because ultimately you want to, if there are more people in the marketplace that want to buy your product, don't stick to your ROI, go over invest, because you do want to make sure that you sell as much product to the people that want it as possible, because that might not be the case in 6 months, and that's where you kind of double down on brand building to ensure you start creating the demand for whatever product you might need. I'm going to whiz through this, and hey, the learning of this is that brand building still matters, despite the big shift towards digital in e-commerce and performance marketing budget. The brand building still plays a big factor in terms of your future business growth, but also has some immediate effect, right? Is your brand famous, or are people aware of it? This, for example, will lower your cost per click in performance marketing advertising. Is mental availability in terms of consumers' mind. The easy recalls will benefit your branded search as well. So if your consumers recall the product or your brand, this will have a positive uplift on your branded search and the volume of your branded search. Recognition is your brand standing out when consumers see it. Distinctive creative, especially marketplaces that allow your brand to be visible, your product to be visible, will create distinction in consumers, and consumers will prefer in the moment of purchase and buy your product. And then perception of value, that's for luxury. If it's worth the price, well, if your brand is strong, it is. We see, people are willing to pay ridiculous prices for luxury goods. So if if your brand has the perception of value, consumers will pay a higher price, which means a higher gross margin for you and a bigger profit. And then lastly, just a few topics, obviously big topics, and we could spend another half a day talking about it, but just I think 4 key things that every modern business and business owner or marketing director should have on top of mind. One is marketing KPIs need to be integrated and complementary to each other. We use something called the multi-touch attribution to track performance marketing, as well as the impact of other channels, especially the physical ones that are harder to measure, to really be able to get a holistic picture of the effects of our marketing and being able to have a dynamic funding model. Other one is MarTech, or marketing technology. Really need to play an active role in terms of how you develop your business, because ultimately it plays really strongly into the third point, which is privacy and data governance. Right? If you don't have a data strategy to unlock targeting and measurement off and on the platform, so paid and owned, and if your marketing stack does not enable you to do that, you will struggle to grow at the pace of your competitors in the industry, and really double down on first-party audience permission. Probably your customers, so the ones that are contactable, and if you have their permission to link it through advertising accounts of third-party vendor, that's the most valuable thing for the next 12 to 24 months of every e-com retailer, and everybody's obsessing this, because nobody wants to rely on the middleman and the likes of Facebook's and Google's to control your data. And accordingly, also future-proof your talent. The marketing path traditionally was from people from advertising or communication to come to marketing. I think today, marketeers come from technology, from sales, and from other departments, because the role of marketing has evolved, and it's not just about telling stories, but it's also about driving the business through a digital landscape that is very complex. And lastly, never forget what you want your brand to stand for. And you don't need a brand like Nike to have a brand promise. Every time a consumer buys a product on your website, you make a promise to the consumer about, well, the product you're selling, but then also about the service and the experience your platform is offering to them, and always the post-purchase. So with that, I'm going to let you with, hopefully the audio will work, with a short video about us and how we drive the internal awareness about our brand promise, which is sport. No? Can you click on it? Yeah. No? It says something connect me. Oh well. Well, maybe then without a video, because I know it's late and we're overdone. So next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, David, we are not over yet with you. Please, David is here to answer to any of your questions. So now it's your turn.
Sure. I have a question. I don't wear the appropriate brand of the sneakers, so you're gonna hate me for it.
We'll convert you by the end, don't worry.
I'm sure. Maybe a free pair of sneakers would help. But, I don't know if you know, but I somewhere read that Nike has stopped selling directly on Amazon 2 years ago, and it's still doing great. And it's just, as you mentioned, there are only 6 channels that drive people to Nike web store. So could you elaborate on that maybe a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can. Obviously, there is quite a lot of confidential, stories behind this. But I think we made a decision that I think what was 4 years ago, so even before COVID, really to double down on our direct-to-consumer business. We believed already back then that this is the future, and actually we want to create 50% of our revenue coming from direct-to-consumer business. Therefore, we had to reevaluate the partners we work with. And we decided to work with partners that stand for similar things than us, right? If you look at our portfolio of retailers that we sell, they vary geography to geography. So I don't know what are the ones in the US, but in Europe, right? We work with the lines of JD Sport, Intersport, Sports Direct, Zalando, ASOS, and these are all retailers that either sell lifestyle or sport. Amazon is not. And that was one of the decisions that just, one of the reasons that drove this decision. I think one off the record decision is probably, so don't quote me on that, please, circle of trust, is also because of the stat you saw. Because at some point there would be a danger that Amazon would be more powerful than Nike in terms of selling their own product. And that puts you in a very tricky situation if you're a big brand, right? But I truly believe that Amazon is a great platform if you're a small business and you want to, create an online sales channel without investing massive amounts of money in a powerful e-commerce platform. It's also a good marketplace, but it also comes with a lot of other things that we can discuss over a glass of wine after the cameras are on.
Thank you for the question.
I have another one.
Please.
Should we just move outside and have a glass of wine?
Okay, so I'm not allowed to ask. Okay.
No, you are.
You mentioned brand marketing, right? So, and we know that there's a certain percentage of revenue that you need to invest back into brand marketing. So is this a secret? What portion of
What's the percentage? Yeah, I can't tell you that. I'm sorry. But I think that maybe what I can add to that is like that I hope it was clear from the presentation that it's not necessarily, and it's going to be less and less about the fixed percentage. It used to be about percentage, it's not anymore now. I mean, it still is if you ask the finance guy, but it's going to be less and less. Because we've seen, for example, 12 months ago, you could spend triple as much as we spent in Google search, so performance marketing, and we would make even more money than we did because the demand was so high.
Yeah, but now it's stopped, right?
But you see that 6 months later, the dynamics of the marketplace are different. And that's where you probably want to double down to create demand through brand heat and expand and reaching all audiences or sacrifice a good ROI on some other parts of the business, right? So the thing is that, like, I can tell you, I can't. I could tell you the percentage, but it's not, it's actually a really irrelevant number because the point is to make it dynamic to respond to consumers and invest in brand when you need it, and invest in performance sales when you see that there is a surplus of demand that could be converted.
Thank you.
How can I then make a budget for next year?
How can you make a budget?
I mean, for a brand.
Oh, for a brand for next year?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a very, yeah. How can you make a budget for a brand next year? From scratch? No brand. You're starting your own business.
Yes, for example.
Wow, I think that's a tough question. Well,
if I have to be dynamic.
If you have to be dynamic, well, I mean, you have your set budget for the year. I would say you also have your sales forecast for the year. I would say, I don't know, assuming, I'm going to assume that you have 100. It's a percentage. And that will fulfill at a certain return on investment or demand to spend, it will return you 1,000 within a year. I think and before you haven't done anything on brand, right? So you only can have 100. You can approach it two ways. You could say, okay, I'm going to risk and try this brand thing out, and go with 90 and hope that my performance marketing team, the marketplace dynamics, my optimization in SEO, the deals I negotiate with platforms like Eureka's platforms, are going to allow me to spend this 10 on brand building, or you can do what most companies do. You do that in end of November, and then you manically call agencies and partner, oh my God, I have some money left, how can I do a campaign? So I would say try to go and say, oh, if I believe and I want to make my website, I see the competition is really hard. I see that, I don't know, there's free players that we all sell, I don't know, pet food, and I really want to stand out. Think about how you can stand out and what you need. So, because I think it's important to also know that by brand building, I don't mean you need to create fancy ads. I mean, hey, it might be optimizing your on-site user experience. It might be, investing in a bit more expensive photographer next time when you shoot product detailed images for your e-commerce website. It's to pay a little bit more attention to how your email copy sounds and make it a little bit more human. And for that, sometimes you don't even need budget. Like if you have budget, obviously it's a luxury because you can hire an agency to do it, or you can manifest all your crazy ideas. But a lot of the times, your brand promise and delivering of this, if you start a small business, just depends on how well you engage with consumers and how do they interact with you. I've seen, at least at Nike, when we look at industry best practices, like people that we envy, it's usually very small businesses because they do this really, really well because they're small, they're agile, and they can do a lot of them themselves and don't need complex, ideas. The best ideas are really, really very simple. I remember, I can't remember actually, but just the way how the product is delivered as well. Do you write a handwritten note sometimes to your consumers or to your most valuable customers? That's also brand building. And it really, really works, especially because big web retailers are often very cold. If you order something on Amazon, it's very transactional. It's like, going to the red light district. It's not, there's no emotions.
What do you mean?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Then I have the last question. It's going to be a little bit personal. Why it's going to be personal? Because I would like that each one of us, also our friends that are online at the moment, that all of us, that we got something out of your presentation. And you mentioned brand promise.
Yeah.
You pointed out the brand promise at the end. And I think that also I, as a person or employee, I also have a sort of brand promise. And I would ask you, what is your brand promise? You as a brand, what's your promise?
As a person?
As a person, sorry.
Okay, cool. Because thanks, because if I would do it as an employee, that answer would be very politically correct.
Okay, so now not politically correct.
Politically correct. I'm very direct. I'd like to make really inappropriate jokes or analogies. And I like to share my knowledge, I guess. And just have fun and meet new people. And I don't know, that's kind of try to be friendly and reply on every email and every text, even if it's just thank you.
It's not right or wrong because it's your.
No, I know. I had to think. And what? Yeah, never drink cheap wine anymore. those are like the teenage experiences. Right? Every brand does a mistake. Right? Every brand had a Khloe Kardashian holding a Pepsi, so that was mine.
Thank you, David, for sharing your personal promise. And also, I encourage you. It's almost the end of the year, and when you do plans for the next year, please don't plan only for your brands. Plan also for yourself. And also, as a brand has a brand promise. Also, I, as a person, I have my brand promise. Think about your brand promise. Maybe this is something that you can take home when you. Thank you, David. And now, grande finale. Let's see. The biggest awards for 2021. The third Customer Choice Award goes to It's a Her Style, PKSC, and FabiousSpot.com. Bravo! The second Customer Choice Award goes to aforum.si klimakoncept.hr. The first Customer Choice Award goes to papina.si belatehnika.com.
Zdaj pa že znamo odprej.
May I ask the right side of the audience to compete a little bit with the right side? Because for the last hour, I'm hearing noise from the other side all the time. Yeah, bravo! So try to overtake them. So, committee award. The awards goes to popolnapostava.si, heidi.hr, mzk.rs. Web Challenger Award goes to igabiba.si, mobis.hr. Web Champion Award goes to bigbang.si, malizakladi.hr, manino.rs.
Let's have another one without men. One official, one for the personal phone book. Something.
Tisti, ki želi na koncu brez maske.
And now the final, the biggest award, Adriatic Champion Award. Adriatic Champion Award for 2021 goes to bigbang.si.
Jam se
Ajde, idemo šet masko, lako šeramo. Ok, hvala.
Whoa! We finished in 19 minutes. You're a great audience. Thank you. Before we officially finished, I have a few announcements or a few information that I want to share with you. First of all, for all of the winners, we would like to make a short interviews with each one of you, and if you can find Ayla and Samira after the ceremony for the interviews. The second info that I would like to share is it was not only face-to-face live event, it was also online. And I would like to ask all of you here in Ljubljana if you can just say hi to our online viewers. Oh, come on, you can do much more. And now, for the end, before we start the unofficial part, we need to do some logistic here. So I would like to ask all of the winners if you can move or you can stay here in this part. All of you who are not winners and are sitting here, if you can move to this part. Okay? Can we do this change? So I would like to see all the winners on the tribune, and all others, we are going to be here. What's behind this? It's a nice group photo.
And we are going to have 2 rounds of photos, one with the masks and one without the masks.
And also, all of us who are going to be here, we will also have a task to do, so please stay here, even if we are not winners. Okay, do we have all the winners on the right side?
On the podium.
This is better. Od zadaj sedijo, od spredaj še dignete.
Silke navodila, roke gor, maske gor, ja.
Prvo brez.
Najprej brez.
Okay, can I ask all others who are not the winners if you can stand up? Please. The gentlemen behind. And now we started the event with a nice big applause. I think that the guys here, the ladies and gentlemen, they deserve a big applause. Please. The winners of 2021 Great Retailer Award.
Now one photo without the masks.
Without the masks.
Please.
Let's be beautiful, then we can be...
Also the best.
After
Both, yes. One without, one with. And please rise your awards. And be happy about it. Woo! Okay. Now let's one with the masks. Can maybe they stand a little bit? Sure.
Give you instructions.
Stand up.
Stand
The
up,
first
get
four
a
rows,
little bit
stand up.
closer.
The first 4 rows. Okay, stand up. No, stand up, stand also the last row.
Yeah, everybody needs to stand up.
Okay, perfect. Now cheese and rice, the awards. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, this is it, guys. Let's give some music and
Enjoy the evening. You have half.
Das ist mit Spatle, das ist mit Spatle.
Yes, all the winners. You can pick up the Dustin Smith recyclable boxes, and you can put the rewards in the boxes. The boxes are you will get at the entrance. Officially, we have finished. Now enjoy the evening.